Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Saturday, the 27th of February. In McShane's readings, we have two chapters, and today we're reading Exodus chapter 10 and Luke chapter 13, and there's a link between them. In chapter 10 of Exodus, we have the last of the plagues on Egypt, and one of them was a plague of locusts that came upon the land, and we're told settled on the whole land and ate everything that hadn't been destroyed already. And although Pharaoh's heart was hardened, I suddenly just thought there must have been millions of Egyptians caught up in this who saw their crops devoured by the locusts, and they had nothing to do with it. They were just part of this whole big thing that was going on, this battle of good and evil with Pharaoh and Moses at the center of it. And yet they ended up suffering. And the next to last plague was darkness came on the land of Egypt. And I just thought with the notion of the evil and the good, that the last plague before the final death of the firstborn was darkness, I just thought was significant. But I was struck by the people that were not involved directly, but were caught up nonetheless. And then in Luke chapter 13, we're told at the beginning, now there were some present who at that time told Jesus about the Galileans whose blood Pilate had mixed with their sacrifices. Jesus answered, do you think that these Galileans were worse sinners than all the other Galileans because they suffered in this way? I tell you no. But unless you repent, you too will all perish. Or those 18 who died when the Tower of Siloam fell on them, do you think they were more guilty than all the other people living in Jerusalem? I tell you no. But unless you repent, you too will all perish. And one has a sense that the people were saying to Jesus, what had they done to deserve it? As though an accident is deserved. And ultimately, I think as people, we would like God's judgment and God's justice to work out immediately and obviously. That we'd see it and we could say, they died, they deserved it because of X, Y, Z. But it doesn't work that way. It is a moral universe, and God is a judge who will judge fairly, and we will all answer, as Jesus says, unless you repent, we too will all die. But God's justice works in eternity, and it is an ultimate justice. And so we may get caught up in things like the Egyptians did, and we won't know what's going on, and we will just be caught up in suffering. We might be like the Galileans or the people at Siloam where the tower collapses, some accident, done nothing to deserve it, but suffer nonetheless. And to try and sit now and say, this is how it all adds up, and that's how you balance the books, and that's how you show they deserved it, doesn't work that way. Because there's some people that do deserve it, and nothing happens to them, and many, many people who don't deserve it, and yet are caught up in the suffering. So don't be surprised when life goes awry and things are not the way we think they ought to be, and we're caught up in things we don't really want to be part of, and the consequences are often severe. And I think many people will have experienced that with COVID. There's no single person that has deserved COVID, but it's affected all of us. But at the same time, we rest in the knowledge that ultimately, in eternity, God's justice prevails. And at that point, the books will be opened, the scales will be there, and it will all work out perfectly. So we keep living in faith, day by day, despite the world we live in. Be encouraged and be blessed.